For the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to install the world's most advanced rake kit, the EZ-ON Rake Kit by MC Baggers. It's a miracle! All right, let's get to work for real. All right, as you can see, we have just removed the tube cap. Remember, there's a lot of pressure in here, so don't be like, looking down in there, because you end up blowing your eye out, and we don't have eye replacement surgery covered by our warranty. So take your tube cap and set it aside. We're going to use it here in a few minutes to aid in putting your fork mount on the tube. Take your fork mount here, and you're going to install two O-rings. One is the larger black O-ring, and you're just going to put it over the threads like this. And then you're going to take your, you've got four red O-rings, two 16 millimeter and two 14 millimeter. You're going to take your 16 millimeter and you're just going to slip it on over the top of your fork mount like this. Then take your bushing, which is also provided with your kit, slip it here into the bottom. Then take your 4-inch bolt, which is provided in your kit as well, and thread it through here into the bottom of the bushing until it's about halfway through. And as you can see, there's a lot of play here. Okay, you're going to take this assembly now and you're going to place it on top of the spacer that's in your tube, like that. The ideal way to do this would be if you had a fork compressor, but we are showing you, not everybody has one, so we're showing you the way to do it when you don't have a fork compressor. Take your cap that you took off a minute ago, and you're going to use this to protect your hand so you don't punch a hole in your hand as you press down. And I like to get a little height here because that way I don't have to exert myself as much. And you're going to place the cap upside down on top of the whole structure here, and you're going to push down with one hand and you're going to rotate with the other. So the trick here is to push straight down without any lateral side-to-side action, because if you do that, you're going to have a hard time getting these threads to bite, as you can see. And we have managed to seat it properly. So take the cap and just set it aside. You're done with it for now. The next thing you want to do is just remove your 4-inch bolt, which you should be able to do with your hand. Set it aside. You're going to use it later on in the installation process as well. Then take your Tyrannosaurus size wrench, which everybody has in their shop, and you're going to just tighten this fork mount until it's tight, but not gorilla tight. And we are done with this tube. And just do the same to your other tube. All right, what we got here is the 2015 Road Glide, and we are going to take you through the installation process of the EZ-ON Rake Kit by MC Baggers. The first thing that you want to remember is that we're going to be applying a lot of torque to this bike. So make sure that you secure the bike with your cargo straps, because we don't have a how-to video on how to reinstall your foot after the bike lands on it. And as you can see, we've removed the entire front end and the fairing, and that's where we're going to be starting the process. All right, your first step is you're going to take your rake frame and you're going to slip it on over the steering head, and it just slips on like that. Then you're going to take your frame bracket, which is made of high tensile steel because of all the stress this thing has to take, and it slips in there just like a puzzle with the frame bracket, with the rake frame. Then you got your 4 bolts here. You've got your 2 3/4-inch bolts and your 2 2 3/4-inch bolts. You're going to apply red Loctite to all 4 of these bolts, and then using an X pattern, you're going to install the bolts underneath the frame bracket. And you're just going to hand tighten for now, because we're going to crank these down later with the torque wrench. And if it helps, you can use your Allen wrench, which is a 5/16, and your socket extender. Got that hand tight there. And remember, X pattern and red Loctite. Small bolts go in the front, large bolts go in the rear. All right, now we got hand tight. You're going to take your top clamp, which is this piece here. As you can see, there's a notch here so that this only seats one way. Drop it in there and it sits nice and flush with the rake frame. Apply blue Loctite to the frame stem. Then you're going to take your frame stem and you're going to slip it up through there and thread it through the top clamp. It's very easy to do. You're just going to hand tighten this again because we're going to torque this down as well in a few minutes here. Then you're going to take your button head bolt with your 6mm washer, and this is basically just a set screw to prevent your frame stem from ever getting loose. And remember, you're going to apply blue Loctite to both your frame stem and your button head bolt here. And we're hand tightening for now. Then you're going to take your 4-inch bolt. You're going to apply red Loctite to the threads, and you're going to thread this through the side. You're going to hand tighten. Again, we'll torque these down later. Change your value on your MIT inspired, newfangled, space age torque wrench that everybody has in their shop. The first one we're going to do is we're going to set it to 65 foot-pounds. And we're going to torque our frame stem here. There we go. Next, we're going to bring it down to 40. We're going to put on our 5/16 inch Allen wrench, and we're going to torque in an X pattern our bolts underneath here. All right, start in the back, so I'm going to move up to the front here. Get that last one. And then we want to torque the side bolt as well. We're at 40 foot-pounds here. All right, next we're going to bring this down to 18 foot-pounds. You need an engineering degree to work this thing. We're going to slip on our 7/32 inch Allen, and we're going to torque our button head bolt here. There we go. All right, now as you can see, in the time that it takes to make a cup of coffee, we have established a new rake angle on our bike. And the last step that we're going to do for this part of the process is we're just going to put our steering head cover on. And it helps if you just take your 1/8 inch Allen and apply blue Loctite to this before you screw it in. But you're gonna tighten it. You're not gonna over tighten it. You just want to take a few twists with your socket wrench here. Make sure it's tightening and not loosening. And there you go. If you only have one person for this installation, then the easiest way to do this is to install your triple tree directly onto the handlebar risers instead of onto the rake frame. So that's how we're going to show you how to do it in this video. First thing you do is you turn your upper triple tree over, and you're going to install your 2 bushings in the bottom. Then you're going to turn that over, and you've got 2 of these, but you're going to only install 1 for now. We're going to do the left side first. You're going to take your aluminum riser spacers, put that in there, put your bushing on top of that, and then you're going to take your washer. You've got 2 washers that came with each bolt for your risers. You're going to put 1 washer here on top of the bushing, and you're going to align this with your left riser hole. Take your bolt with a washer inserted and just line that up and hand tighten for now. Then we're going to take our other set here Take your aluminum spacer, do the same exact thing you just did. Don't forget your washer. And you should be able to look straight down through there and line it up. Take your bolt with washer. Make sure you put blue Loctite on both of these. All right, that's nice and snug. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our triple stem. As you can see, it's notched here, so it only sits in one way. And you're gonna insert it through the top of your upper triple. Sits there nice and flush. And take your set screw, which is a 3/16 Allen, and you're just gonna apply blue Loctite to it and hand tighten it. We're gonna crank that down later. Take your bearing right here, put some grease on there, lube that up, and you're just gonna seat it down in the top of your rake frame. And now you're ready to rotate your handlebars down and insert that triple stem directly into the rake frame. And then you're gonna take your bearing, second bearing, put some bearing grease on there, and then just insert this up in here. And you may need to pull your handlebars up a little bit to get the bearing to seat properly. All right, what you got here is you have your fork covers, your 2 fork spacers, which are included in the kit, and your lower triple, which is also included in your kit. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your 2 covers, set them down first properly, face the flat side facing in, set your spacers on top of them, and then you're just gonna position your lower triple here on top. And you've got your 4 4-inch bolts here. You're gonna apply blue Loctite to all 4 of these before you insert them. And one by one, and I'll show you how I do it, it makes it easier. You're gonna insert these and just kind of lift up on the lower triple so that you can see if it's aligned or not. And there it goes. And then you're gonna spend the next 2 hours or so trying to get these screws down here. You'll have lots of time to think of all the time you're gonna spend on your awesome new bagger with your luxurious hair whipping in the wind as the girls check you out when you're riding by. All right, now we got our assembly here, and we're ready. All right, we are working with the Road Glide here, so as you can see, we've got about 6,000 different wires here to deal with. What you want to do is you want to flip this entire rat's nest of wires up over the handlebars so that it's out of your way, because the next step is to put all these wires and brake lines in this duct here and cover it with the wire harness cover, which takes these tiny screws, which you hopefully don't spend 25 minutes looking for because you dropped. And you're gonna apply blue Loctite to the threads of both of these screws and hand tighten for now, because you want to make sure that you're not pinching any of your wires. Which I kind of am right now, so I'm going to reposition and then reinsert that screw. Make sure you apply blue Loctite. I'm not doing it in this video, but make sure you do it when you install your kit. And then I can see that my wires are not being pinched, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten these fully with my 5/32 inch Allen. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side when I'm finished. Now we're ready to install our lower triple tree assembly. We've already assembled this, and but I first want to mention that I've preemptively installed these set screws into the bearing adjuster nut, because if you don't do that, there's a high likelihood that you're going to drop these on the ground and spend 40 minutes of your life looking for them on your hands and knees. So we're going to go ahead and take our lower triple tree assembly, and we want to thread it through these brake lines here and your ABS sensor, and thread it up onto the stem, and And then take your bearing adjuster nut and thread this bearing adjuster nut onto the stem and hand tighten it. We're going to crank it here in a few minutes with a torque wrench. All right, hand tight. And next we want to take our fork and notice that there's 2 notches up here. This will help you guide this properly. Make sure you don't spill the oil as you thread this up through the tree assembly here. All right. Now hold that in place and grab your 17mm bolt with a 14mm O-ring installed. And we are going to hand tight here. And we are going to do the same for the other fork. All right. Now we're going to take our 17mm wrench here and get these full tight. Do the same on this side. You need to torque this to between 28 and 30 foot-pounds. And the reason that it's sort of up to your taste. It depends on, you're trying to strike a balance between agility and stability. If you want more stability, then you would torque it closer to 30. And if you want more agility, then you would torque it closer to 28. So I'll just put 28 foot-pounds here because I like a lot of agility. And go ahead and there we go. Now we're going to tighten our set screws here in the bottom of our bearing adjuster nut. These aren't torqued to a certain value, they're just full tightened. All right. Next we're going to insert our set screw into the back. Take your 3/16 Allen wrench and you use that as an aid to sort of help you. Oh no, here we go. All right, got it. Tighten. Tighten this to 20 foot-pounds. So make sure you have your engineering degree so you can adjust this 20 foot-pounds. All right, go. And you're going to do the same up here to this top set screw on your upper triple tree. You tighten this to 20 as well. Okay. And then we're going to install our clamp. We're going to take these 4 bolts here. These take a 5/16 inch Allen. And we are going to install them. And there's two here and then 2 on the other side. These are for clamping the fork in. I'm just going to insert these in here by hand right now. And these take, make sure you apply blue Loctite to each of these. I'm going to do the same over here. Okay, all right, time for some torquage. I'm going to torque these 4 clamps to 35 foot-pounds each. Now, I'm going to torque one and then I'm going to torque the next one and then I'm going to go back to the first one and torque it again because the process of torquing the second one will have loosened the first one. So we need to make sure we go back and we do it again. Do the second one. And then we go back to the first one and we do it again. Because you'll notice I have to tighten more to get it back up to 35 foot-pounds. And there we go. And just go back to the second one and make sure that one's also 35. All right, now do the same thing to the other side. And retighten that to 35 foot-pounds. And then same thing with the second one. Make sure it's, all right. And the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that our handlebar riser bolts are tightened to 40 foot-pounds. And that uses the 3/4 inch socket. I set this to 40 using my advanced engineering degree. Left in me here. Okay, I'm gonna move to the other side and do the exact same thing. All right. Okay, now we're gonna install the brake line bracket, which is stock, to our proprietary MC Baggers brake line holder. Using the stock Torx bolts. And I'm just gonna thread these in here first, and then I'm gonna tighten them up with the Torx wrench. All right. Don't forget to apply blue Loctite to these two Torx bolts. All right. We are going to put our brake line, position our brake line here in the bracket. And it's a bit awkward, as you can see, or maybe I'm just clumsy, I don't know. Could be either one, really. And then we're going to take our two bolts here, apply blue Loctite to both of these bolts. And we're just going to use our handy dandy little Allen here and thread this on up here. Don't forget your blue Loctite. Now we get that one. And do the same thing over here. All right, congratulations. As you can see, you have now installed the mother of all rake kits, MC Baggers EZ-ON Rake Kit.